Corona, and he would have gone by the Proctors and Saltermeyers first, just on the way to town. But he would come out of his way to come by our place. But he came by and told us about it, and probably tried to get Lyman to go down and look at it. Sally said she...
Now, Sally is your daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
We had 2 sons, but they're both deceased. And she thought that she could remember him wanting Lyman and the boys to come down, and the kids. She was one of the boys. Literally. And she said that that was a busy time of the year. If it was dry, and it was dry more than it was anything else, they were feeding or marking lambs or one thing or another.
Now, you said you remember the thunderstorm? Or?
Oh, yes, because we had this is the house that was built later. We had a little old dinky shack that had a porch that wasn't any wider than that. And my husband, all ranchers go out on the porch to see where it's raining, how much and who got some. And he had to stand out there and see where it was raining, and there was so much thunder and lightning that I begged him to come in the house, and finally there was this terrible thunderclap, and he came in and he says, "Boy, that hit something." You know, it has a different sound. It has a hollow sound.
So he thought lightning had struck something.
Yes, and it was 2 or 3 days after that Mac, no, it was longer than that. It was a week or 2.
Did, he didn't see the lightning hit anything, he just...
No, that's hilly country. And the clouds were hanging low. They were pretty low.
So then you and Lyman, nobody went over with Mac to see the stuff?
No. Mac went to the Proctors and maybe the Saltermeyers. I don't know if he went there. But they didn't go down there with him. I guess everybody was busy, and Mac thought it was a weather balloon or some sort of an experiment, that he was glad to do the government a favor to bring them the pieces. And that's actually the attitude he had when he gathered it up and took it to town.
So he brought it into Roswell, when you say town Roswell.
Yes.
Okay. And what happened to him in Roswell? Did he ever talk to you about that?
Very secretly, and he didn't talk to me a lot. But they were around my table, Mac, and I don't know whether Bill Brazel was there or not. I don't remember that. But Mac and my kids and Lyman, and I was busy carrying the coffee pot. And I really heard more sketches of the conversation than if I were just sitting there talking like we are here.
What pieces of the conversation did you hear? What do you remember about that?
How nasty the officers at the air base were to him.
By nasty, what did he elaborate on that?
He did to them, yes. He was held for, I believe it was 3 days or 3 nights. Of course, ranchers all had livestock in their corrals that had to be fed, and Mac was there by himself. And I think he called Bill. Bill was in Albuquerque to come down and take care of his livestock, but they literally threw him in jail. And it was 2 or 3 days later, Lyman and Floyd Proctor had some business with the Bureau of Land Management, which had an office. I don't remember where their office was then. Anyway, they came down here to the Bureau of Land Management together, and they saw Mac being escorted by two, I believe, two Army men. And I don't know whether he had handcuffs on or not. I don't believe I ever heard that, and I don't believe he did. I believe they'd have said something about it, because we were all, the whole neighborhood was scandalized that the Army, that the services would treat people like that, people who had good intentions.
Did Mac never mention what went on when he was held on the base?
I didn't hear it. Surely Walter Haut did. He was a lieutenant. I couldn't tell you because, like I said, I was carrying the coffee pot. Mac was very secretive, and I know that he made it plain that he was not supposed to tell this and not supposed to tell that. And I think most of what he was not supposed to tell was that there was any excitement about this material. Now that's my recollection.
But Mac was pretty unhappy?
Oh, you bet. He was a man who had integrity. He definitely felt insulted and misused and disrespected.
So he was annoyed at the way the military treated
He
him.
was worse than annoyed.
He made the effort to come in with the material, and they treated him that way.
That's right.
And he sat basically at your coffee table and elaborated
At
on
my
it.
dinner table.
Dinner table.
Didn't have a coffee table.
I meant dinner. I meant actually kitchen tables. What I meant.
Yeah.
Was this the only time that he talked about it? Did he ever mention it? Maybe some other times, or?
I don't remember him being at my table. I was in the house. Now, lots of ranch women are around the corrals a lot, but I wasn't. And he came to the house off and on. When we built this new house, he came and helped lining with the plumbing. Of course, that was later. But I don't remember that he ever came during that time of stress. And he was definitely under some stress and felt like he had been misused and kicked around.
And this was right after he got back?
Yes.
Right after they let him go?
Not too long. And since none of us really knew then what the importance of it was, I don't remember just how long it was. It might have been 2 weeks. I don't think it was 2 months.
Did he talk about the material?
Yes, he did. I remember he said something about that you could crumple it up and it would come right back out. Now, my daughter, I have been asked before if anybody had any scraps of it. And my daughter told me on long distance, she was only 10 years old, and she said she wasn't impressed with it, but that Bill Brazel brought a scrap of it up there, and he was at the corral. He was not in the house, and I know I never saw any of it. I never saw it at all. And she said that it was very, very thin, that I sewed a lot. And she was familiar with fabrics, and she said it was like a very thin cotton, but very tough. Now, she emphasized the words tough. And I said, how big was this scrap Bill had? And she said, 6 inches by 8 or 10. And I said, what do you reckon he did with it? And she says, well, if they didn't build, I don't believe they were people who kept a lot of, they didn't have their house cluttered like this. And she says, well, if he didn't realize the importance of it, he probably threw it away. Now, of course, I don't know. That was just conjecture.
Where's your daughter now?
Fort Morgan, Colorado.
It's Sally
Tadolini.
Do you think it'd be all right if we talked to her, called her long distance and chatted with her?
I'm sure it would.
Do we have a phone number?
Yes.
But do you happen to remember what it is?
Yes, I do. You want to write it down?
No, I'll have it recorded.
Oh. 1 dash 303 dash 867 dash 5025.
Okay.
That's her home telephone.
And that's Sally
Catalini.
Catalini.
Now, of course, her husband and sons wouldn't know anything about it.
Are they from this area, or are they from Colorado? Or?
They're from Colorado. All of them.
But she says Bill Brazel brought a scrap of it by for her to take a look at.
Well,
Or just to show.
to show, and like I said, now she lived at the corral. Her daddy had to order her to the house. She had her horses and so forth. And she was out there, and the boys were out there, and I suppose Bill stopped, and that was the whole family as far as Bill was concerned. So, and I don't know whether I was home or not.
So basically what you know is Mac Brazel was held by the people at the base for a number of days.
Yes.
He came to your house and was irritated by
He
their
was worse than irritated.
by the treatment of them, and you heard some of his discussion about what went on at the base. And then Lyman saw Mac in the company of a number of...
If I could say something that's off of the record.
Back on the record.
Could I ask you about the thunderstorm again?
The thunderstorm.
Did anyone else comment? Did you hear anyone else
Comment about the thunderstorm?
about the storm?
I asked Juanita about it one time, and she said no, she didn't remember it because she had little children. Her children, by 1947, mine were 7, 8, and 10 years old, 12, and hers were babies. And I think that's what she said, that she didn't remember that thunderstorm. I don't know if anybody else did or not.
Anyone else in the family that commented about the loud
About
thunder?
thunderclap? Sally could remember it. I don't know.
Okay.
My sons have said are not living.
Did Mac say anything while in Roswell that he was threatened, or that they?
I think he was threatened with something because he was threatened if he opened his mouth, he might get thrown in the backside of the jail. And he gave that impression, definitely. He must not tell anything.
He said that he wasn't supposed to tell anything.
Yes.
So he was angry, but yet he also took it serious
Yes.
that he couldn't say anything about it.
Yes.
Was that unlike him, that he would
Yes, it was unlike him.
buckle down against something that was
He
a
was
threat?
a very upfront person. He would be likely to say what he thought, and if it fitted, if you didn't like it, well, so what?
So what? So what would it take to get him to keep his mouth shut about something?
A serious threat.
More than just a physical threat.
I think so. But I don't know of any threat that was given.
Right.
Like I said, I was carrying the coffee pot.
Could they have done anything else to try to shut him up?
Like what?
Bribe him?
You couldn't bribe Mac. I don't think you could. I think he'd double up his fists and back you away. I really do. I don't think he was that kind of person. Has anybody else made any such remarks about Mac?